Okay, we're live. We are live. How are you doing, guys? How are you doing? So, yes, it's a Thursday. It's not a Friday. Uh, Reason it's not a Friday is because, as you know, I wasn't able to broadcast on December 24th, and now this is December 31st tomorrow. So, because of the holidays, we have to change schedule. Although I'm actually trying to think here if maybe I should move the live stream to Thursday. As you know, I moved the publication of the video to Wednesday, and that didn't seem to hurt anything. So just shifting the workload a little bit, so it's a little bit less stressful for me. So I don't know. You guys give me your comments to see if Thursday is okay instead of Friday. So just a little bit more time for me for the weekend, because weekends are actually very busy for me because I got to make the video. Typically, I have to spend a weekend making the video. So it's very, very busy. So how are you doing, guys? And Happy New Year. I hope you had a Merry Christmas. And our topic tonight will be kind of digging deeper into the topic of location tracking, which was the last video. Thursday works for you, okay? So can you have an adult beverage on Thursday? I suppose it's possible. You should be you and choose your schedule. Yeah, but it's a live stream, so live streams are better if there are actually people in there. Friday for me is better to see the full live stream live. Yeah. I can't almost win with this because obviously, like a big chunk of the East Coast cannot watch me on Fridays either. Neither on, on any day actually, because the time is 8 p.m. And, like Europe is asleep. And, by the time I end the video, maybe they're just about to wake up. But beyond that, usually Europe is asleep during my live stream. So I can't win, it's... many of you will watch on the replay, but just wondering about a change in timing for 2022. So, well, shoot. Okay, so Happy New Year, my friends. Happy New Year. Now, again, for those who are not used to this format, it runs for an hour and a half, but only the first half an hour has to do with the specific topic. The rest is Q&A. So if you don't feel like watching the whole thing, you can stop at the half hour mark and you don't have to worry about saying, oh, your videos are too long. You don't have to. It's Q&A. It's important for me to get a sense of what my viewers are thinking about and get it on your side. You get to tell me rather than me tell you. So that's really, really important. From Auckland, by the way, I was looking at my traffic, my channel traffic, and which also matches kind of the sales traffic, like people who buy from me, where they come from. And the proportions like this, I believe it's 70%, no, 60, maybe like close to 70%, like 65% USA. And then the next country in line is Canada at, I'm going to say 13% or so, which is pretty high. Then followed by almost a tie between the UK and Australia. So it's amazing the kind of mix of people that watch me or buy my products is very, very interesting. And then the rest are the smaller numbers, larger traffic from New Zealand, Germany, the Scandinavian area. So that's kind of the main ones. And then the rest are not on the map. They're very small numbers because of English, because I speak English and this is an English channel and I'm not doing translations. So that's kind of an interesting view of the population of people that are interested. And Australia is very unique too, and maybe and New Zealand too. It's because I'm sure they're experiencing a little bit of the overreach of government, where like, Australia and New Zealand are like hand in hand in trying to be the most dictator-like nation among the English-speaking countries. They want to be at the top of the Five Eyes. They really do. They want to spy on their citizens more than anybody else. So that's very, very interesting, and that's probably why I'm attracting a lot of people from those countries. They're the ones very concerned. So anyway, the topic is specifically about location, and I think many people are confused because somebody was saying today, oh, so all I have to do is have a Linux computer and then I'm set. I don't have to worry about anything, and I don't have to be I'm not tracked. It's like, no, I didn't say that. That is not what I said. That is not what I said. If that's what you're thinking, then you're really going to be confused, and you're going to be thinking there's nothing to defend against. So let's make this clearer, kind of black and white in a way of what I'm talking about. This is really what I'm saying. We can all be tracked on any device, be it a computer, be it on Windows, be it on a Mac, be it an iPad, an iPhone, a Android device of any sort. We can always be tracked. Even on a Linux device, you can be tracked. It's the same thing, no difference. Okay? Now, tracking on a computer of any kind, and that includes Windows, Linux, or a Mac, is not really the same as tracking on a phone. And the reason is the identity part, because yes, on a computer, you can find location. The location on a computer is using something called Wi-Fi triangulation. So yeah, you can be tracked in a computer, but for the most part, Wi-Fi triangulation is permission-based, and most Wi-Fi triangulation is done on a browser. So if you turn off location on the browser, websites and platforms aren't going to find your location directly through there. Now, apps can find location without having any permission. So fortunately, there are very few apps that you need to care about that will track location. It's not very common to be loading apps nowadays relating to social media, for example. We tend to run a browser for social media. So because of that, then most of those social media platforms tend to go through a browser, and on a browser you can limit location. Now, having said this, and you're thinking, oh, okay, then I don't have to worry about anything. And the real problem that I'm trying to tell people is that you're logged into your device. Let's say you're logged into Google on your computer on Chrome, and you logged into your phone under Chrome. So whatever you're going to hide, you can't hide on two devices that are logged into Google, because whatever they see on one device has to match the other device. It's a little bit more problematic because you got to think about it in a multi-device scenario. Like, if you don't think like that, then big tech is going to laugh at you and say, look, this guy, Mad Cow, is hiding again. Mad Cow is hiding again. He's like, he's telling me he's in Portugal, but his computer says he's in San Francisco. This phone says he's in San Francisco. And the inconsistency is what gets you, and they say, oh, we can ignore the alternate location because the phone is right there, and the phone is emitting location right now, and you can't hide from that. So this multi-device thing is really what that video is trying to tell you, but it's hard to start off with that because I got to give you the background of what location tracking is being done on each one. So a phone, as I mentioned in the video, a phone can track your location if it's a standard Google Android or iOS phone. They always know your location. Now, I'm talking about Google knowing your location or Apple knowing your location, not a third party. So that is a different concept. I am not saying that Facebook knows your location at all times with a Google phone or a iOS phone if you do not post anything. I'm not saying that. Because if you do not give permissions to the app doesn't know your location. I'm talking about. Third-party apps are a whole different thing. Third-party apps are all limited by permission. You can limit permissions on all of them unless they're sneaky like Facebook that's going to take the locations from other sources like photos. But assuming that we're not talking about Facebook, so they will take their locations from very, very simple means, a third party. The one that you cannot restrict is the IP address. Therefore, if you're trying to block a third party like non-Google, non-Apple, it's pretty easy. All you have to do is use VPN because they're going to base most of their tracking on the IP address. And secondly, you do not give permission. You do not give permissions for location for those platforms, and pretty much you're done with that. That is not the main fear. The main fear is actually Google and Apple. Google and Apple are where the danger is because they really know where you are and you cannot stop it. This is the part I'm trying to let you know. You cannot stop it. There is actually no way to block location with a Google or iOS phone, a straight Google Android or an iOS phone. Now, yeah, I have so here I'm running a de-Googled phone here. So this is a de-Googled phone. Okay, so this is a Pixel 4a. It's a Pixel 4a. So this is 2021 model phone. Okay, Pixel 4a. So this is actually new phone in the sense that it's 2021. So this is the phone that was being sold mostly this year. Now, this does not have any login, and that's really the distinction between this and other phones. I don't log in to anything. There is no Google on here, so I can't log into Google anyway. You know how you turn on your phone and you log into your phone, and the phone is always on connected to Google. So any Android will have to be connected to Google. That's how you have Play Store and all that. So without you doing anything, it's going to track you, and the location on this phone is always known. So therefore, Google always known where the phone is. And if you're like doubting this and you say, well, I turned off activity controls on Google, and so they're not tracking my location. So somebody was telling me, and Google, they're going to use permissions. There are laws to stop location tracking. I said, BS. What a crock. What a crock. Okay, all you have to do, is go to Google account security, and you can see the device and the last location of the device. I mean, come on. Of course they know where you're logging in from on a phone. They use it for security, supposedly. And that is really independent from what they call, your social media activity or what you do on the internet. They consider that a separate piece of data. Why? Maybe to exempt itself from GDPR. But the fact of the matter is they're spying on you very clearly, and they know exactly where this is. Same with Apple, Find My Phone and all that. I told you, and people, again, did not pay attention to me when I said that the iPhone was using the IMEI, it's the serial number of the device. The serial number of the Apple device, I don't know if they use IMEI necessarily, but there's a identifier on the chip which is used to do the encryption. It could be that identifier. And so they know the identifier of the phone or any iOS device. It's in the chip that they made. It's in that A7, A5, whatever chip you have from Apple. And they have the ability to say, okay, we know the location of this device. Whoever owns this device, we know. So when you bring the device to Apple, they always say, well, disconnect Find My Phone, because otherwise they'll be connecting that identity to you forever and ever. And the reason you disconnect it from Find My Phone is that they can assign the phone to somebody else, because they're always tracking that number, the serial number on the phone. So basically, I mean, it should be common sense. If the phone is being tracked, then how can you possibly hide your location if you have a Google Android or iOS phone? It's impossible. It's impossible. Now, this is the part I'm going to bring up to your attention that's going to be important in future videos. And that is, sometimes we don't need to care that they're tracking the location. So, because some of you are kind of worried and say, well, if we have to worry about location, I can't, because, years and years of using it, and I can't get rid of my iPhone, I can't get rid of my whatever, and so because of that, then I have to live with that fear, and I guess I'm tracked. I can't do anything about it, and watching this channel just makes me upset because it makes me depressed because I can't do anything about it. That is completely false. Of course, you can do something about it. Of course, you can do something about it, and if you can't hide your location, then you got to think about it a little differently. The question that I'm going to raise, and it'll be hopefully the subject of my next video. I'm trying to formulate the video in my head for right now. I haven't written it yet. I haven't decided how exactly I'm going to state it to you. But the key is you need to understand the consequences of why location tracking or any kind of tracking is even important. And I made a video explaining it a little bit. Very few people watched that video. It was one of the most important videos I've ever made. And, the topic didn't resonate. So I may have to explain the same topic in a different way. But suffice it to say that it is very dangerous for somebody with so much power to know who's thinking what. To know who's thinking what. So one of the secrets to what you need to worry about with Google okay, hold on. I'm having a signal problem here. Hold on. Okay, hold on. There was a signal drop. There was a signal drop in there. The name of the video is titled Bombshell, Google Search Bias. And I guess it wasn't a bombshell, so it was pretty. It's a pretty damning kind of video, and maybe it was suppressed by Google. I don't really know. They certainly didn't feed it, and it was very, very important. Yeah, the buffering should have stopped now. Yeah, it was buffering. It actually stopped. The signal stopped. And I looked at it again, and now it's okay. So it's just a brief drop. Okay, so yeah, the freezing should be stopped now. And I know you're putting in your comments and it's late, but it's no longer dropping now from the time I'm doing this, which is 15 seconds later. So anyway, take a look at that video. It's the title is Bombshell, Google Search Bias. And that's when you start to realize that. And that was last year. This year is a little bit different. It's gonna be more interesting. And why it's interesting is that, well, I'll give you a couple of tips. A couple of hints, because this is gonna apply to the following video. But I don't really want to get into to what my possible video will be. But I just want to make sure you understand this comment. There are actually belief maps. And what a belief map is basically it identifies people with certain beliefs in a map. So you can actually go into certain towns in Texas and actually look at the individuals plotted on a map and say, these are the anti-vax people. They actually have this. I am not kidding you. That was in that video. So they actually have a map of people, and they say, okay, these individuals who are, identified by Google Analytics are in this locations, and they actually are. Whatever the belief happens to be, they have a category also for anti-vax and so on. This was, like I said, over a year ago now. Now, what is interesting about this is that they've actually categorized not only that these people have a certain belief, that they took another step and they've identified these people as violent right-wing extremists. So how would you like to be labeled just because you disagree? How would you like to be labeled as a violent right-wing extremist? Now, this is no joke. The FBI was given a list of certain people, certain beliefs that will be categorized as potentially domestic terrorist types, and those were the types that believed in certain groups, and if you, depending on your choice of president, on and on and on, they had a list of criteria in there, and those were actually labeled as violent right-wing extreme. I don't know how they came up with the correlation to you're having a certain belief, and then they actually label that violent. So I don't understand how having a by the way, the way they found these people were from their searches on Google search. Okay, so this is how it works. You go on your phone or your computer, use Google search, you go find some search terms, so they're tracking your use of the internet and where you're going and all that, and all domains. And then they identify who you are. Google Analytics can see what websites you visit and on and on and on. They know all that. Okay. Then they track your location exactly. You have a Google ID, so they can understand who exactly it is. Some of you may not have a Google ID, in which case they're using something called browser fingerprinting to track you. And then they track you by location, and they put you in a zucking map. So people are saying, well, why do I need to care about location tracking? Well, why? Well, I suppose if you're on one side, the side of Google, in a belief system, then nobody's going to track you. Nobody's going to track you because nobody's going to care, because you're not going to be identified as being a violent extremist. But if you're on the opposite side, can you imagine being mapped? Can you imagine being mapped and be told that you're a violent extremist just by having a certain belief? Now, I'm not an anti-vaccine person. Some of you are. I'm not. However, I have a medical background. I did go to medical school, and I understand that there are realistic reasons for some people to believe, to be pro or anti-vaccine. That's legitimate. There's many, many legitimate reasons, which is why you will find that many healthcare providers and workers are actively quitting when they're being forced to be vaccinated. That's why there's a shortage of healthcare workers, because they actually understand the risk, and some of them are saying, wait a minute, I have other issues. My family has history of blood clots and this and that, and I'm afraid of that. And there's things that nobody knows anything yet, and they don't want to take the risk. So they have a right to believe that legitimately, without having to believe that because of some, what do you call this? I forget the term now, but it's not a when you think it's some plan by some movement. Why am I drawing a blank here with the word that we use all the time? Okay, in fact, I'm aluminum foil person. What do you call that? Conspiracy theory. There you go. That is so funny. Conspiracy. Yeah, it's funny because on YouTube you can't be saying these words because you get demonetized. So I can't even say it now because I've taken it out of my vocabulary, and there it is. So yes, conspiracy theory. So they will think tinfoil hat. Yes. So they make you think like you're some tinfoil hat. One the reasons can be legitimate. Can you imagine being marked and put on a category? And the categories are being decided on a location basis because they can actually identify on a map. They can actually point to your house and say, "There's that house. That person in that house was identified by Google as part of Jigsaw." Jigsaw is a division that handles this. That has a certain belief, and they're using it for things like anti for example they're going to say their categories of beliefs, maybe like racial bias and so on, that they are trying to stamp out in society whatever categories they think they're stamping out. And so they put this on the map. Except that if you look at the map and see what's being identified on there and what they're targeting, there is a specific slant. Everyone is being categorized in one side as violent and extremist, but never on the opposite side, which is unnatural. In a normal society, there are extremists on both sides. This project only attacks one side, which is obviously we already see that censorship and so on in social media. This is no surprise anymore. But so yes, this is not a surprise what I'm trying to tell you here. But the issue is that if you are seeing this, that there's actually an actual map. And in many cases, all of those people are cavalier about their location tracking and don't care because they said they have nothing to hide. They're actually on that map identified individually. It's crazy. It's crazy. Would you like to be in China and be identified on a map? Would you like to be in the old Soviet Union and be identified in that map? Whew. Guys, that is not what you want. So now, if you paid attention to what I said, let's say that your belief system matches Google, so you really are compatible with Google. They won't track you. They have no need to track you. They won't even care. So what is the solution, folks? If you already have a location, the solution is be in the mainstream. Appear to Google to be in the mainstream of what Google believes. Not on the mainstream of the nation, which is 50-50, but be in the mainstream what Google believes. And if that's how you appear to them, then they're not going to track you. It doesn't matter what your location is. You're never going to be involved. It doesn't matter if you go to a riot and participate in a riot. As long as you're on that side, you're going to be okay. As long as the riot, the looting or whatever happens is on one side, you do not have to worry. Google is not going to care. Okay? So yes, just this is already proven in reality. They didn't care. They're not tracking that. They are targeting a certain population. So because they want to change the world. They want to change the world primarily, from what I see, by targeting those who believe differently from them, and they want to change you if you don't believe in the same way as Google. So yeah, so all you meat eaters out there, if you're not vegan, Google's going to target you. If you like meat, you're going to be in the target list. You're going to be on some map. Well, look at this guy. Meat eater, red meat. He likes red meat. She likes red meat. You're in a Google map because you're not helping the environment. Okay, so I'm just being facetious here, nothing against vegans. I'm just giving an example. As long as you are in sync with Google, they don't care. If you are not in sync with Google, then they will care and they will track you. Okay? So, love your vegetables, people. Okay. So there's no political attachment to being vegan, so that's actually a good example. We Ungato, thank you, Ungato. So anyway, what I'm trying to tell you is that most people think that what I'm talking about is useless, and because they say, why do I need to care about location tracking? Why do I need to care? Well, that's what I have to convince you in my next video. I'm still trying to explain how to explain this. I hope what I just said, the brief things that I said, yes, there is a map, and somebody decided that certain groups they want to target, and they're in the targeted group, and they're in that map. They can obviously target anyone. They can target anyone with blonde hair. They can target anyone with large feet. They can target anyone. It doesn't matter what you're being targeted as. You can be targeted. So, and why they want to target you, it's up to them. They can decide. They're in power. They have the information, and they can decide, oh, we want to target the people with large feet because Google is going to invest in a large shoe company. Okay, they could do that. Could they do something more extreme than that? Yeah. So where can I find that info? I told you it's in the video titled Bombshell, Google Search Bias, which nobody watched. I told you nobody watched that. I don't even know if did that video even reach 40,000 views? I'm not even sure. It just stopped dead because Google wouldn't feed it. I don't even know if it reached 40,000 views. Don't even know. So, considering the topic, I thought, that should have been, well, of course, Google's not going to feed that because it's anti-Google. So, yeah, large feet. So, but you understand, well, I don't know if you understand or not. By the way, when I talk like this, some of you who are on the side opposite from what I'm talking about, meaning your belief system is similar to Google's, you will unsubscribe for me. It's nothing unusual. Shugal, John, thank you, John. Yeah, anytime I talk like this, to tell you the truth, and I'm not a political person. I don't like politics. I just, I label myself more of a libertarian than anything else. And and yeah, so a bunch of you will unsubscribe because, no, you're wrong. This is all for good. This is all for good. Because I'm not... Video name, Bombshell, Google Search Bias. Is that the actual name of the video? Happy New Year. Oh, that's Swearsome, my friend. How are you doing, my friend? I had to someday switch full-time to my Pine phone, but I need some of those Google utilities. Well, to be honest, there's nothing wrong with the Google phone. I mean, it's pretty useful. Somebody was asking in the comments. I guess it's time for me to take a break for Q&A. Hold on a second here. And I'll get back to telling you about the Google phones in a second. But in the meantime, let me just tell you about my sponsor, Linode. So some of you are interested in learning about Linux. Some of you are interested in doing basic things like web servers, email servers, and so on. And you're thinking, what ISP should I use? What cloud service provider should I use for doing this? And you're thinking about, I'm going to put my domain on GoDaddy because that's what you know. Some of you are, most the big players are on Amazon AWS. You can go to Amazon AWS. And if you go to any of these options, and there are many, many options in between, there are hundreds and hundreds of ISPs, you will not get the benefit that I've found going to Linode. So Linode is my sponsor, has been my sponsor for a year and a half now. And first of all, I've saved so much money with Linode. Truly, their pricing makes sense. I don't have to pay extra for bandwidth. It's all included in the cost, and they price it in a very reasonable way and in a very, very fair way. And then there's a tech support. They're just Uh, it's so easy to reach them, and it's so easy to get tech support uh, compared to any other cloud provider. So if you ever think about doing cloud services for your business, for yourself, for your social media platform that you want to, your website or whatever else you want to do, really consider switching to Linode. Okay, LastPass got hacked, lost all the master passwords. LastPass got hacked. Your LastPass got hacked? Well, sorry, I use KeePass, and I don't use anything remote. So my KeePass is local, so I can't. There can be no central hack. So, yeah, KeePass, open source. You don't have to use LastPass with a centralized database. So that would be your mistake if you did that. You can use LastPass without that. Okay, so let me say again that because somebody asked, what happens when you use a de-Googled phone? Does it really change your life? I mean, you think you can't do anything. I mean, guys, you have to make a sacrifice to yourself. I just told you about how you're tracked. And if that's important to you, it should be important to most people. If you watch that, Bombshell Google search bias, which is only about Google search, but I was going to do a lot of videos related to that, but because that video was not well received, I did not do anything else. Flight 32, Flight 32Z, thank you. The number one resource of the world is not oil or gold. Why do governments do this tracking? To farm more. As the world gets smaller, they have to remove all sedition. Yeah, of course. That's right. So anyway, you have to make a choice. So somebody would come to me and say, well, I don't want your de-Google phone. I sell a bunch of de-Google phones, a lot of Pixels, Motorola's, OnePlus, and then they return it. And they say, well, I can't use your phone. I can't learn that. It's just too difficult. And, look, I mean, it's a standard phone. I mean, does it look that different? Looks pretty normal, right? I mean, you interface with it just like any other Android. If you ever seen an Android, not different. It's the exact same thing. If you have an iPhone, oh yeah, maybe you don't swipe it the same way. There's some slight differences, but beyond that, what the heck are you doing on the phone anyway? What do you want to do on the phone? And that's what I want you to change, people. Don't rely on the phone as your sucking life. Okay, let me just tell you about people. So I went out to dinner. And we went to, and there was this yogurt place next to the restaurant. And so I had a yogurt. And I was watching the people working there. There was, at the time that after we bought our yogurt, there was no other customers. So they were sitting on their stools, basically playing with their phone. So nobody's lazy anymore. They're always on the phone when they have nothing to do. So who says you have to do certain things on the phone? Why can't you make a choice that, hey, maybe I'm not going to go to Google. Maybe I'm not going to go to Facebook. I mean, life is so big here. Oh, maybe I don't have to use Messenger. Maybe I don't have to use WhatsApp. My goodness, there's so many options in the world. You can use, so many. I have so many here on my phone. I have SMS, I have Signal, I have Conversations. I got Netflix, I got VPN, Orbot, NetGuard. I got Aurora Store. I can install any kind of app on here. The only app I can't install is anything from Google. Okay, is that going to kill me? No, in fact, I can even go to the browser and run a Google app if I had to, but I really don't need to use it. There's really nothing that binds me to it. There's NewPipe. I can use NewPipe to watch YouTube videos. There's Spotify. There's Amazon. There's Kindle. Uh, you can run games. You can do Skype. You can do YouTube Advanced if you want to do YouTube stuff. There's Ozman OpenStreetMaps for street maps. Netflix. What the hell? What are you expecting from your phone? Oh, I gotta have this particular app. If I can't have this app, then I'm not gonna use that phone. Well, it's up to you. The point is, if you want to go to social media and go blast away at Facebook and say how you hate the government, you hate this, you hate the president, you hate that, and you go on social media and you boast about it on a standard phone, then it's your zucking fault. Can't help you. Can't help you. You got to make a choice. You got to make a choice, people. I'm not saying be quiet. I didn't say that. But why would you need to go to Facebook and say, this is what I believe? Why don't you go someplace else and say, this is what I believe? There's so many other places. You can even go to zucking Twitter. In as much as Twitter is so biased, you can go to Twitter, use a fake name, use a VPN, and so what? You can say anything you want there. Find some other social media that is not one of the dangerous ones. Find something that's not Google. Find something that's not Facebook. You will live. Life is not going to end. There is no need to have some specific phone. You do have to make some sacrifices. That's it. Very minor sacrifice. Not be on Zucking Zuckbook. Is that such a big sacrifice? Oh, not use Google search. Is that a big zucking sacrifice? Oh, not use Gmail. Yeah, it's going to cost you because Gmail's free. Okay, but is life going to end because you can't use Gmail? Suck. People. Make up your minds. You want to be in that map I told you about? Well, then don't do anything. So you come in here and you say, well, I'm angry. I'm angry with the government. I'm angry with this. I'm angry with that. And I want to speak up. And I'm telling you, don't be dumb. Don't come in here on social media, including YouTube, and say, I want to speak up. Speak up in the right way. Speak up in the right way. Who are you on YouTube? That's question number one. Who are you on YouTube? What do they know about you on YouTube? Maybe you need to just simply set up a brand new account. It's that simple. Maybe you need to have a different phone with a brand new account that's not connected to anything else. Then you can still subscribe to whatever you want, say whatever you want, but now you have a different identity. You're not part of the old identity. Why didn't you think about that? Banking apps, you can always use the browser. Some banks don't work. Bank of America doesn't work on this, but I found Wells Fargo works and Chase works. So some banks work, some banks don't. The ones that don't, like Bank of America, it works in a browser just fine. Works in a browser just fine. So what's the issue? Is life going to end? Oh, I can't use Uber. I can't use Uber on your phone. I can't use Postmates. I can't use DoorDash. Yes, you can. Use the zucking browser. Oh, too many clicks. That's life. Do you want too many clicks or tracking so they know what you think? Or do you care about them knowing what you think? Thank you, Ultra Al. Thank you, Ultra Al. You don't care that they know what you think? Well, I told you, you should care. Because, well, you don't need to care. If you are a Google believer, you believe in what Google believes, then you don't have to care. I mean, it's, can use Grubhub? Actually, yes, you can. Grubhub works. I think I had Grubhub on my other phone. Yeah, that works. Not all apps don't work. A lot of apps do work. Can you use your Instacart app on the Google phone? What is an Instacart app? Not an app I use, so I don't know. Ask somebody who uses that. I don't use that. I don't use Instacart. I don't know what that is. Yeah, but most things work. If the app has a payment, it doesn't work. If the app requires Google Maps, it may not work where the Google Maps interface is. Otherwise, it will work. So point is, if you're so reliant on your phone and your phone is being used for such specific functionality that you are not willing to sacrifice, then you're sheep, because they gotcha. Oh, I can't leave Facebook. I can't leave Facebook. No. My family, my family, they're all on Facebook. So if I leave Facebook, I can't talk to my family. No. Look at me. Guess what I did? A dozen years plus ago, I said, no, more than that. No, less than that. So 10 years ago. So 10 years ago, I said, no more Facebook. So family had no choice until everyone started leaving Facebook, because they figured, if we don't have the complete family, you can't have a discussion on Facebook. And if you're a family of 10 that are talking on Facebook and a couple of you leave, by the time you get 3 of you to leave, then it will break down and no one's going to go there anymore. Royal Calvin, is it already too late if you've been using Google? No, never too late. Never too late. Never too late. Next video. No, it's not too late. But you may have to do certain things. What do you think of Aptoid and F-Droid for downloads? F-Droid is preloaded. F-Droid is preloaded on the phone. So most of my apps here are from F-Droid. Not everything, but most of them are. So yeah. So F-Droid, I have a video on F-Droid. So yes, F-Droid is necessary, and then in order for Google Apps to work, you need Micro G, which we also preload on here, and that makes most Google Play Store apps work. Not Google apps, but Play Store apps. And you don't even have to go to you don't go to the Play Store. There is no Play Store, so you find substitutes for the Play Store, and there's Aurora Store. Aurora Store is preloaded, and then if you don't have Aurora Store, you go to apkpure.com, and you can get anything. You can even get Waze from the apkpure.com, which is actually how I got Waze to run on here. I got it from apkpure.com. Okay, so I'm sorry I'm old now. Now, what is the context of that? You cannot keep them from tracking you from other sites your computer connects to. It doesn't. You got to understand the problem, folks. It doesn't matter if they track you or not track you. Two pieces that make up a data point. There's an index to the data point, and there's a data point. Okay, what is the index to the data point? Your identity. What is the data point? Whatever data you're revealing. Now, some data points are themselves an index. Location is one of those, because if they know your location, they know your identity. Since there's easy cross-reference, all you have to do is go, if they know your location, they can just check credit reports, find you in a credit report list, and find out who you are, just even from that. They don't even have to go very far. Beyond that, they can use contact lists, which they already have. Every one of those social media platforms have collected contact lists, so they can find your phone number. So if they have your phone number, they have your location, they got your identity. They got you. So is that a problem necessarily? No, but it depends on what you're trying to do with that data point pair of the identity and the data point. What does that mean to them? Well, as I told you, if you are believing something that they believe in, you're okay. And Google says, if I'm okay, you're okay. There was a book like that. I'm okay, you're okay, I think. I don't think it's in reverse. I think it was, I'm okay, you're okay. So if you're okay, then okay, they stop tracking you. Why? Because you don't matter. You're not a target. Okay? You're not a target. It's like saying, What does the government target? In theory, obviously the government wants to target targets of sedition and so on, targets like terrorists or criminals. That's supposedly what they target. So if you don't appear to be in that category, then they target you less. Do they collect your data? Well, obviously they collect your data. It's called mass surveillance. Yes. So Google's doing mass surveillance. The government's doing mass surveillance, but it doesn't mean you stand out until their data point matches you. The data point they're looking for matches you, in which case they find your identity or your location, and that's what Google has done. They've actually tracked you guys that have certain beliefs. Some of you come to my channel here and you say, what is it? Graphene oxide thing, nanobot thing. And then you come to my channel and you say that, and of course they've already tracked you. You've been categorized. You've been categorized. So the question is, does it matter that you're categorized? Now, let me just theorize this with you a little bit. So you believe in your nanobots. My thing is that doing mass surveillance by nanobots is very inefficient. So to me, it's kind of a useless exercise. You're so concerned about being mass surveilled by nanobots when they're already surveilling you to this. So let's focus on the obvious one first, okay? Don't focus on the most obscure thing because I've been trying to explain to you that my knowledge of this is not cursory. I mean, I do have a ham radio license. I have a general license. I understand how radio frequency works, and radio frequency is not going to go through your zucking skin. So therefore, the only way you could do any kind of radio frequency would be like, touching. The sensor has to touch your skin. It's not going to transmit. Somebody was saying you can do Bluetooth on your nanobots, that kind of thing. So forget that focus, because you're kind of missing the point here. When you have a more important threat next to you, don't focus on the threat that, even if it were true, would be experimental at best, even if it were true. But this is not theory. They are tracking you on this. Okay, so if they're tracking you on this, the question is, what are they tracking? Well, I told you they're tracking identity by your location, your IP address, and so on, and your Google ID. So, if you're understanding what I'm saying, and it's very subtle here, then you can create many Google IDs with different thought processes. So what if they find you and you believe a certain belief, which Google may categorize as violent extremist or not, but just or extremist in some way, but they don't really know who you are, then that data is meaningless. They can't associate that with anything. If they can't pinpoint the exact person, then you're nobody, you're nowhere. So that thought or ideas can't be collected because they don't know who it connects to. It's like just in the cloud somewhere. Now, what if you had two identities and one is very subservient, very mainstream, and follows everything that Google likes? What is that? How does that put you on the map? They'll ignore you. And here, I didn't even touch that. You already have an identity. All I'm saying is, well, make sure that your identity where you are kind of a outlier, where you think kind of away from the common belief, put that in a separate identity. Have you ever thought about that? I don't think most of you have. You think that you're locked in to who you are and what you are. You don't even realize that you can play this game. You actually don't realize this. That if a person, let's say that I'll just theorize here. Let's say that You like basketball. So Google has this profile of you. Oh, Mad Cow here likes basketball. So we're going to track his basketball activity and see what teams he likes and all that. And we're going to create a whole database of him because, we want to identify these people who like basketball. Well, what if you suddenly, not suddenly, but, in their data collection, you start to dislike basketball. So now they're confused. Oh, yeah, it looks like Mad Cow here doesn't like basketball anymore. He's watching football. He keeps watching football now, and there's all these basketball games, and and he's not watching them. So that's inconsistent data. Well, now what happens if the computer or a data scientist sees data that's inconsistent? This is a data scientist problem. What you need to do is make your data look like nonsense, and the data scientist has to throw it away. If they cannot determine precisely what you think, they have to throw the data away. That's how the computers work. You don't have time to go isolate a person and say, well, what does he really believe? Maybe some future AI can solve that. But in the meantime, they're just going to get confused and say, let's focus on the 99% that we know we can identify. We know these people that 100% like basketball. That's our target. Those who are ambivalent and they prefer football over basketball, we're not going to care about that. Okay, that's what I'm talking about. Is you confuse the algorithm, because that's how this works right now. It's not yet that smart. It's based on statistics and based on probability, and that's all it's based on, probability. And if the probability fails, then the tracking fails. So that's our defense currently, and people are just like, they panic. They say, oh my gosh, this channel is all about negativity and I can't handle this. Like, I won't do anything. So I'm going to go on Facebook and start, talking to my friends and how stupid they are, that they believe what they believe and they should do this. And so you go off at social media and you go rampant again, talking about all the things that you want Google to know about you, and you say, I don't care that they know that about me. Well, don't be stupid. Do not be stupid. Arm yourself. It's like, you know what it is? Going to Facebook or Google, or going to any place and actually stating your beliefs openly, going in Google search and stating your beliefs and say, I'm going to search for this topic on Google search, and you're not going to go worry about it. It's like going to battle without a sucking gun. Oh, by the way, on YouTube, can't talk about guns because, can't talk about guns on YouTube. They'll get you demonetized. Okay? So what I'm trying to tell you is, I'm arming you with a bunch of little things. It's actually very strong ammunition. And all you have to exercise here is self-control. That's it. What is a de-Googled phone? Self-sucking control. Self-control, because you're saying, okay, I will restrict myself by going only to this apps and this kind of activity. Otherwise, I can do what I normally want to do. Restrict social media to those that don't track you because you're not using your real name. And believe it or not, it's not that restrictive. But you are armed. You go out there knowing what you're doing instead of acting like a stupid fool going in social media and going on Twitter with your real name and then going to the opposition and then calling them names and accusing them of this and that while you're being profiled. And it's like, oh, I don't care that I'm being profiled. I don't care. I want freedom. I want freedom. I'm going to speak what I want to speak because I want freedom. It's like, come on. Let the other side do that. They can, they can go out there and take that role. You, on the other hand, should be protective of yourself, because if they don't know what the population thinks, they actually cannot act correctly. Okay? If the algorithm, if enough people, let's say I convince 10% of you to accept my viewpoint here, that you do not want to inform the algorithm. by hiding yourself with your Google phones, VPNs, and hiding your identity, your location, doing things I talk about. And when you cannot hide your locations and identity and location, you take the other approach, which is to change what they know about you. If you just do that, and then you create different identities that do the other side, what you believe, you'll cause enough confusion that they cannot actually do polls. Their polling will be false. Their polling will be false. Is that a thumbs down? My dog Rex is that a thumbs down? Are you thumbing down what I'm saying here? So if they think what the population is thinking is X, it is not X. Whoa. And you don't need a lot of people. 10%. If 10% of the people know to hide their thoughts so that the algorithm cannot figure out who they are because they're not sheep, that's enough to mess things up. That's enough to mess things up. Because all of their surveys will show that one side is always ahead, and it really isn't going to be like that. So, gun. Can't talk about guns here. What are you talking about? So in spite of what's his name's thumbs down here, yes, you want to come to the argument armed with a weapon. You don't go into battle waving your arms, which is this is exactly what I'm talking about. You go into battle waving your arms. This is exactly what I see people doing on Facebook. They're on the opposition side, opposition of Facebook, opposition of Google in beliefs. And they go on Facebook and they're waving their hands. It's like basically going to the battle without a gun. Okay? So if you believe that soldiers should not have guns, then I can't help you. Okay? Because I'm talking about soldiers. Do you want to be a soldier? If you want to be a soldier, you need to carry a gun. Otherwise, to go out there on Facebook and claim to explain your beliefs, and you don't do anything to protect yourself by hiding your identity, then you're messed up. So, just to make another point here, many of you, can't help it. You can't help it. You can't go into social media and actually hit like on an opposition view. You cannot do it. I know you can't do it. Because you believe in it so strongly, you say, well, I can't do that. I'm not going to say I'm pro something when I'm against it. I'm not going to do that. Because you think that social media is life. It's like, no, social media is not life. Social media is the revenge of the nerds. Social media is controlled by the nerds, and they got you. They got you talking on social media, then they have you. I was going to use that as my title on the video, Revenge of the Nerds. But that's exactly what we're dealing with here, is they got you. They got you speaking, and then you think, oh, free speech. There's not free speech right now. This is not about free speech. So this is about a new way of tracking us and tracking belief systems, and how that can be used to change the world. That's what they're actually talking about here. This is what Google believes in. They used to say, we will do no evil. They don't say that anymore. Wonder why? Because they found they can change the world. Facebook thinks they can change the world. Apple thinks they can change the world. Bill Gates thinks he can change the world. Okay? So they can change the world by knowing who you are individually and knocking you down. That's how they can change the world. Individually. We're going to do this. Algorithm's going to figure it out, and we're going to attack you individually, but the computer's doing it, so you don't have to worry about it. And how do you get attacked? Oh, you get censored. They change what you see on the internet. That's the part that was in that video that nobody watched. The Bombshell Google search bias that nobody watched. Such an important video. I'm going to link it in the description after this tonight. After this, I'm going to link it in the video. But nobody watched that. And that is so critical because it shows that if you're not understanding this, they actually change. That is their goal, to change, to make a change. So they have a list of things they want to change in the world, and there's no democracy here. They make that change because that's what they believe, because they're in power. So if you don't believe that, then zuck you. You have no choice. Okay? So, yeah, this is really what I've been talking about, and people are saying, oh, why do I need to hide? Why do I need to do this? Why don't want to be profiled by big tech? And many of you just don't get it, and they say, I don't want to go through this. Well, yes, don't go through it. Go to Facebook and go announce your beliefs to be in the opposition all day and think you're winning. You actually think you're winning. You go out and you pour your heart out on Facebook and you say, this is what I believe. And you actually say, I'm winning. I love it. I was able to speak out, and like nobody paid attention to you. But somebody did pay attention to you, and that's big tech. Big tech paid attention to what you said. And then they're going to make you feel like they're going to put labels on you. Going to put labels on you. It's going to, do you want to know what some of those labels are? Well, obviously, you've heard about tinfoil. They're going to label you tinfoil. But the worst one was in that video where they labeled people with disagreeing beliefs as violent extremists. I don't know how they arrived at the violent part. Did these people create violence? They were just doing Google searches. How do you come up with a Google search and get labeled violent? I don't get that. Because you said fight, 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 maybe. Because it's from words. In your anger you said a few words, and then they now reconstitute that into a label called violent. I mean, let me tell you kind of an example that is unrelated to politics or anything else, but it's kind of interesting. Okay, so if you have a Tesla, any of you with a Tesla, one of the things that Tesla has done now is put a driver rating in your car. So when you're driving around, it rates your driving. And then, it will grade you based on what it perceives as proper driving behavior. Okay? Now, if you find a case, and there are many cases like this, and you will find it, where the algorithm fails to understand the scenario and considers the case that you encounter on the street as a failure of your driving skills, then they will dock you for it. And this is the algorithm now deciding this for you. Say, oh, you're a bad driver because every time you go by this corner, they dock you a point. And what the problem is that the algorithm, meaning the AI, doesn't understand the road configuration and thinks you're going to hit something. So it gets to that point in the road and it docks you a point. Said, bad driving, you're going to hit that. It's like, okay, this is what I'm trying to tell you. When the computer decides for you, The computer decides for you and does the judgment, and you have no recourse because the computer decided that you're a bad driver. Can you imagine being used for insurance? That's the exact problem I'm trying to state here, where a computer decides this and you have no recourse, even though the computer is wrong. The computer is wrong. The computer is wrong because the algorithm that determines the driving activity did not take into consideration a specific event, and is always like targeting that and saying you're a bad driver when you get that anything in that spot that you've been driving for the last 20 years. But the computer thinks, oh, bad driving. So that's what I'm trying to tell you. That's what I'm trying to tell you, is that you don't want the algorithm to decide that, because you have no say, you have no control, you have no influence, and you have no ability to bring it to somebody to complain to. Who do you complain to if Google categorizes you as violent? Whatever their category is of violent, just like Tesla can categorize you as a bad driver. Who do you complain to? Well, obviously nobody. And that's the exact problem I'm trying to state here. Nobody. So what I'd rather do in the Tesla case is make sure that Tesla does not know who I am, so they can't associate that driving behavior to me, since I can't control what that algorithm is going to do. And when it marks you as a bad driver for something that is a flaw with the AI that you cannot correct, and there's nobody to correct to. Attorney? Yeah, right. How do you do that? So those of you who've been flagged by Google and are in this belief map, do you even know you're in the belief map? Most of you don't even know. But you know what you do on social media. You know what you say on social media. So you're in the belief map. You know what you do in Google search. You know you're in the belief map. You know you did not worry about your location. You know you did not worry about Google Analytics. You know you didn't worry about your Google login. You did not pay attention to anything I said about privacy. And there you are in the Zucking belief map. And now you kind of come to me and say, I can't do this. It's too much. So yeah. So anyway, I'm just trying to make you understand that this is a big problem, and what I teach about privacy are basically just the mechanics, but the application of mechanics is what's important here. It's the application of mechanics. Since we are now in a surveillance society, you got to find a way to override that, and you override it by disconnecting your identity to your behaviors, to some behaviors, and maybe attaching identity to other behaviors. It's not always hiding. Sometimes you want them to see. Okay? Sometimes you want them to see. No, you don't feel screwed, Tim. All you do is you got to change. You got to just change. Think about your identities and what each identity does. Think about what social media you're on. Think about what you do and what you say. This is not a free world anymore. Not anymore. It's not been free. Therefore, you need to fight. It is not a free world. If you think it's free, what you're doing is, some of you are putting your thoughts and ideas with an identity on social media forever. Especially for young people, millennials putting all their thoughts and ideas on social media for the forever part, especially those who are extremists in politics and so on. Very interesting. Now, if you're somebody who doesn't care, even that is actually important to know. If I know that in the history of your life you didn't care about politics, I would probably target you too. I would target you too. I'd say, this is the middle of the road guy that I got to convince to change, the political landscape. That's the target. I got to convince that middle of the road guy, and I can do that because I control the media, I control the internet, I control the phones, I can control what you guys see, I can control what words are allowed, what words are not allowed. I can control thought. And people say, oh, we don't care about this. I hope you care. Because in the end, this is about freedom. And it's not about, I'm just trying to, whatever side you're on, I'm just trying to protect you by telling you, right now, the reality is that most people who come to my channel are on the side that feels repressed, which has not always been the case. It's been changing, a decade ago, it would have been different. This decade, it's the people on one side are feeling more repressed. It doesn't matter what the side is. All we want is natural discourse, not a controlled and manipulated discourse where some big player actually controls the word so that you really can't think anything otherwise. You don't want that. That's what I want. It's just natural discourse, and then people can decide what the true will of the people are. And in general, the people as a group, if they're not being manipulated, will tend to vote in the most moderate way. That's typically what happens. There's moderation in a large number of people. So moderation is not a bad thing. I don't have a problem with moderation in all aspects. So so some days it may be moderate more this way, moderate more that way. That's part of life. I can accept that. But when it swings like this, where the thoughts are like so extreme, the thought processes of government are extremely on one side or the other side, depending on who's in power, is an indication of somebody's trying to polarize us. And this is part of the manipulation too. So I'm not I wouldn't call myself an extremist in any kind of way. I'm not an extremist. What I believe in is that if we do not stop what we're doing here, where certain parties control the information, the world will become extremist. And that's what I worry about. So that's what I worry about. So anyway, that's trying to put this. This is a very important video, even though I didn't mean to kind of spill the beans here, because that's what I was trying to communicate in a new video, and I'm trying to do that in a short way in 20 minutes to tell you that in 20 minutes. Clearly, it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard to say that. So I know what to say, but I don't know how to say it. So that's this is the long way. So hopefully you get bits and pieces of all this, and you understand what the purpose of all this privacy is about. Why are we concerned about location? Why are we concerned about all this tracking? Why do you want a de-Google phone? Why do you want all this? It's or sometimes why you don't want a de-Googled phone. Maybe you want a Googled phone. Sometimes you want that. It's not always one side. It depends on what you're trying to do. It depends on what you're trying to do. So if I'm going to tell Google that I'm compliant, that I'm a believer in what they believe, heck, the best way to do that is use a Google phone, log into your normal account, and do the things they expect you to do. Go to the news stations that they expect you to go to. Click on things and hit like and do things that they expect their favorite people to do. And you have a direct connection to the Zucking computer. The Zucking computer is logging everything you do. Perfect. Isn't that perfect? You have a direct line to the algorithm. The algorithm is, I would turn on all the tracking and say, yeah, track me, and track you the right way. And in fact, that may be a way to think about this. Go to Google Activity Controls, erase everything, start fresh, clean, erase everything, and then start clicking the right stuff, the stuff they want, logged in. Dedicate a browser to it, dedicate a phone to it, and just do what they want. And then you can do all your nonsense things on that same channel too, on the same account too. You know, if you want to watch knitting, yeah, do it on that channel. You want to watch boating, yeah, go. You watch it on that channel because it has no political bearing or anything. And then do your other stuff elsewhere. That's where you hide. That's when you hide. That's when you start saying, okay, I need a Google phone and a VPN. You do it on that side, and you then go bonkers over there and do whatever you want to do, but you make sure that your identity is never tagged and collected. And that's how you achieve both. So you don't have to necessarily leave the world of, the mainstream. You just have to learn how to participate in the right way. Complicated. I know it's complicated. See, Aussie prepper. Come on, Aussie prepper. No, you can't think like that. Well, then you have to spend all your time hiding, which you can do as well. But sometimes having both available to you is actually good. Have a way to do stuff when you're hiding, and when you don't want to hide, you reverse your personality. And that's not called pandering. That is not pandering. Aussie prepper, that is not pandering. That is screwing up their AI. That is beyond pandering. That's actually hurting them. That is a jab to big tech. It's a jab to big. You are actually hurting them by doing what I'm saying. You hurt them. So yeah, if you think that this is a pandering approach, no, you are actually putting the hurt into big tech. Without the proper information, their data is useless. If 10% of the people made the information useless, 90% of the data will be useless because they don't know if it's 10% or 15% or 20%. They don't know anymore. You basically screw up the math of the data scientists. This is all about math, people. It's about math. Two-pronged attack. Oh, mad cow smart. You understand what I'm saying now. I'm not using complex words here explaining what I'm trying to say. Not like, I did in other videos. I'm not. So, Google's a time thief. Yes, but it's not about Google being a time thief. Do you want to be? Do you want to participate actively in the opposition? You can participate actively in the opposition, or you can just be in the background. If you want to be in the background, hide. But if you want to participate actively in the opposition, I'm giving you away. Sassy Doe is trying to comprehend. Well, let me see. Hopefully I tried again in a short video to kind of like quantify it in a simple way. But you see, I have to explain the problem. So, I scare you? This is not scary. I mean, it's nothing I'm telling you is illegal. I mean, it's all fair. It's all fair. They track us, we track them. No, I'm sorry. They track us, we screw up their tracking. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. Okay? That's it. Track us, we screw up your tracking. Nothing evil, nothing going on. Just basic stuff. So, yeah, ham radio is the way. It feels scary how it is very scary how they track, but you got to fight back. So anyway, I'm out of time. Obviously, we we won't have much time to address any more topics. So just in closing here, so I'm going to try to, shorten this. And I think you got a big picture for those who actually watch this. It's going to be a very important live stream for those, who actually get what I'm talking about right now. But if you're able to comprehend even a little bit of what I'm saying and start thinking about an approach, you start to see that, hey, it's not a dead end. We don't have to feel like, oh, but they've been tracking me for 20 years. What do I do? And you don't have to feel weak, like, oh, I can't do anything. No, you can fight back. You can fight back. There is a way, but it just takes a little bit of thinking. It means you have to be, have multiple personalities, and you need to separate those multiple personalities. And don't think of it as, doing anything bad. There's nothing bad about it. Yeah. It's a way to rebel without, causing any pain. It's rebellion, but who's hurt? Who's hurt in this rebellion? Certainly not individuals. This has nothing to do with individuals. Nobody's hurt with this rebellion except for big tech. So I hope you learn from this and think about it. This will be your New Year's resolution. New Year's resolution, guys, to rethink your approaches to your phone use, your social media. Rethink your identities. Rethink. And I wonder if I'm going to get demonetized on this video. I'm going to have to fight it again. They're probably going to demonetize it because there's words said here that they don't like. And then after they demonetize it, I got to go complain and say, hey, don't demonetize. Who cares? I mean, it's not like these videos make much money. I don't make much money from advertising. That's really not what supports this channel. What supports this channel is when you do things like buy, from the merch store. There's a merch store. Oh, sorry, wrong side. There it says de-googled. And it says Rob Braxman underneath. There's a merch store underneath the YouTube videos. And so you can buy sweatshirts. I've been wearing different ones in every video. Sweatshirts and T-shirts and so on. So it's in the merch store. And then many of you buy phones. So appreciated. I've sold so many phones. And as many phones as I've sold, some people have said, are they good? Well, the thing is that you will find nobody says negative comments on chats about my phones. That's because, satisfaction guaranteed. You don't like it, return it. You like it, then I help you in every way possible. And you can see that most people have accepted that, and I've sold many phones. I've sold a lot of these phones, okay, of different models. So in sometime next year, maybe March, I'm going to be selling a cheaper model that is brand new, and it's going to be branded, a Brax phone. So the Brax phone idea, that'll be I don't, because of supply problems, it may be March before I actually get that started. I don't know. I'm trying to finalize that as soon as I can, and if that works out, then there'll be a Brax phone around March or so. So thank you guys for being here and watching, and Happy New Year, my friends. Happy New Year again. New Year's resolution. Think about the new year and what you're going to be planning to do to take some of my teachings that I said in this video and applying it to your future in the coming year. Thank you so much. And Fly 32Z, I suggest a hat to sell because people read at level. Okay, Let me add a hat. I don't think I have a hat in the store yet. Okay, I'll do that. I'll search and see. I didn't see a hat initially, so I didn't have one. Okay, Happy New Year, my friends. Bye-bye. See you later.